You are tuning in to the Atlanta Realtors Rundown, the official podcast for the Atlanta Realtors. We're here to keep you updated with the latest trends, topics, and keep you in the know of our ever-changing Atlanta market. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Welcome back to another episode of the Atlanta Realtors Rundown. I'm your host, Kate Wright, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Matt Kelly from none other than Augusta, Georgia.
That's right.
Matt, will you start by just giving us a little bit of information and background on who you are and what you do?
Yeah. Realtor started October 16th, 2019. Associate broker down in the Augusta area. No, I do not, cannot get you master's tickets. I could probably find someone who can get you master's tickets. But that's about as cool as I get right there, I guess.
Is that what everybody comes to you for?
No. It's typically the first question. I forget how crazy it is.
Oh, that's true. Anyone from across the country thinks of Augusta and relates it to the Masters.
Yes, exactly.
I know a few people who've been asking for him. Well, I wanted to have you in today because I actually met you through YPN.
Okay.
And the Georgia Leadership Program, Georgia Association of Realtors Leadership Program. And
awesome program.
I have to say, at first, I was skeptical. I'm just kidding. But once I started to get to know you a little bit more and learned about your business and how you built it, I was really impressed. You're one of those people that can work the room. You can speak to anyone. You remember names. You're very enthusiastic. You're hard to miss. And I watched you over the past year or so in your business and thought, this is somebody that I think a lot of people would benefit from learning a little bit more about how you do what you do.
Thank you.
And anyone who goes to our conferences, like our state conferences, because now you're going to have to come to all of them, I'm making you, will probably at some point see you or meet you. And so I want them to know ahead of time a little bit about you so that they can come up and have a valuable conversation, or maybe they can start following you on Instagram or whatever it is, just to see what you're doing, because you are like the Energizer Bunny. I don't know how you do it.
I appreciate it.
So tell me and tell our guests or our listeners a little bit about kind of how you started your business, because you're still, in my opinion, don't knock me for this, but you're still pretty young in the business, okay?
I would say
you're
so.
about 4 years in.
Correct.
That's still pretty new to what we're doing. You've been pretty successful. You would never brag, but I will for you. And I want to know, when you came in 2019, were you just like, I got to figure this out? Or did you have a plan? Or were you like, this seems like it could work? I mean, tell me a little bit about how you got in, started building. And I mean, through conversation, I know from you that you've practically doubled your business every single year.
Correct.
So tell us, just to kind of get this conversation going, how did you do that, and what did you incorporate, and what did you on this journey see that was working or not working? And, give us a little bit of background here.
Okay. So first of all, about 5 years ago, around this time, I had to sell my PS4, it's PlayStation 4, for my car insurance payment. I was thinking about it on the way up here. So a little bit about me and where this came from was that, 2 jobs, didn't really, college decided that I wasn't for it, and that's a whole nother story, but 2 jobs, keeping up with the buddies. We're 24, 25, 26, just grinding it out, waiting tables and all this stuff.
Hold on. So before real estate, you were waiting tables.
Waiting tables, paving asphalt. What else did we do? Caddied. Just all of it.
So you were just hustling a few little, in essence, side jobs, trying to make it work.
Trying to like find ways to make money to hang out with just stay in touch with my friends who were getting their first jobs out of college and going off on all these concerts, just young people stuff.
Okay.
So that happened. Yep. And I tried to go back to school. My wife, Helica, was starting to say, hey, you're 25 years old, 26 years old. It's about time to grow up. And you sold your PlayStation for car insurance, so you need to figure it out real quick. So we tried to go back to school, and that's like a whole nother story. But actually, I'm doing really well that semester, but for other reasons I won't go into. There were some signs that I had to go do something else, and so in the spring of 2019, I sat down with someone who I really admire, and I asked him, and what should I be doing, and said get into real estate. Just I think you'd have a shot at it. And really, that's about all you got right at this point, buddy. So I said okay. So that a few months later, got my license and got started. Worked at a restaurant, French Market Grill West. Shout out. So I was working there while waiting tables at night. So I was real estate from 7:30, 8 a.m. to hard stop at 4 o'clock because I had to be waiting tables at 5. So I'd haul butt home, put on, and it was a nicer restaurant. So button down, pants, slacks, all that stuff till about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and that was my life for about 8 months.
Wow. And that was 2019?
2019.
Summer of 2019? That
was October 2019 through probably about April or about May 2020.
Wow.
COVID.
Okay.
Yeah. You can thank COVID for the. So one of the things I'm really big on is I focus on what I'm really doing now, because whatever I do now, I believe really manifests itself in about 6 to 8 weeks.
Sure.
And the only proof in the pudding I have for that is when I first got in the industry, I said, okay, if I can get 5 contracts on my desk, I feel like that's enough to get me out of the restaurant business where I can then just go full commissions. So that was always my goal for those first 8 months, is figure out how to get 5 contracts under my belt at once, right?
Wow. Okay.
And when COVID happened, we all got the restaurant shut down, and it was fortunate enough we got some weekly income from the government at that point, and I was able to go real estate full time. And we came back to the restaurant after about 5 weeks of being shut down. And on that 6th or 7th week, I had 5 contracts.
Wow.
Pending.
Because you had the time and capacity to give your all to real estate.
Yes, I was in the bathroom more than I was waiting tables because I was taking client phone calls in the stall, hiding from my boss and manager.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I said, Jim, I got to go, buddy. Here's my 2 weeks. And he said, get the hell out of here. I know you've been passing out your cards at all my tables.
So is that how you first kind of just, when you came in and you're like, okay, I've got to sustain myself with this job because I haven't really figured out the ins and outs of real estate yet. But clearly you're an outgoing person who's a go-getter, and when you have an idea in your head, you're going to go for it. So you get your license and you start kind of just spreading the word. I mean, how were you starting to grow your business? Were you telling people, hey, I'm in real estate? Or where were you trying to generate the business from when you first crossed the threshold of real estate?
Video was my big thing. So I really I was watching the pizza reviews that Dave Portnoy did, and I said, can I do that like on a hyper, can I do that in a local level? And so I can't exactly do the format he does. I would never criticize a restaurant. It's just Augusta's too small of a town. But I went to a Mexican restaurant and got some tacos on a plate and had Angelica film me on my little phone. And I was
She's
like,
a saint.
Oh, I'll show you the video. It's so bad. But hey, this is Matt Kelly, your local realtor. I'm out here of El Alazan, and I'm going to review these tacos for you. And I posted it, and like 5 of the servers that I was working with, some of the waiting staff, and even the cooks, it like made the rounds in the restaurant. They're like, "What the heck is this, you goofball?" But they were like, it was funny. And I did a second one, and then a third one, and I was doing them weekly, and it started just taking off.
Yeah.
And I just leaned into it. So I did all the food groups except for pizza. I would never do pizza.
Why?
Because that's for Dave. And when you start doing the pizza, then you really, I can never be that. So
Okay. No pizza.
no pizza. But thank you, Dave. That's for him, and
You'll let him keep it.
it's such a genius freaking just concept. And so that was the first thing I guess picked up on, and then from there, started just getting involved. Right, so the leadership program, so Columbia County Leadership, Leadership Augusta, doing those, the youth leader. There's all sorts of leadership chamber programs you get into. So I've gotten them super involved with those, and then met you last year, and now you just grabbed me and dragged me through all of these state level things and national level things, and it's so we're figuring that out right now. But it's that's kind of where we're at.
So. Yes, I did do that, I will admit. But, and you needed to be there. Everyone needs to be there. If you're listening, come find me. I'll drag you too.
You're very good at that. You're very good at seeing things and just
yeah. Come on, we need you. So let me go back. Okay, so you start doing these videos, which I think are very interesting because that was one of the things that I noticed, and I was like, oh, he's doing these restaurant videos. First of all, I felt like, wow, he's so brave. There's a lot of people that I think that would be very intimidating. I talk to a lot of folks that say like it's hard to get behind the camera. It's hard to get behind the screen. You started them. Your wife was just filming you, and it was just like very like rookie level. Here, I'm posting this and just putting yourself out there.
Yes, editing and trying to use all the apps and it was fun.
And so then there's a little bit of buzz around you because people are probably for the most part in the beginning just entertained by you.
They are.
But what you're doing, I'm just assuming, is associating yourself in their mind as the local realtor by basically introducing yourself that way and presenting you as the realtor who's evaluating or reviewing these restaurants, right?
Right.
So you're making connections in your community with these restaurant owners. You have to reach out to them before you do this, or are you just going in and just saying like, hey, I'm recording a video while I sit here?
No, I was reaching out to them first, and scheduling with them. And, I wanted to, if I was going into their restaurant, interrupting their day-to-day operations, like, I want to get their permission.
Well, I think also it builds rapport with the people in your community when you're doing that, and those people start to get to know who you are. I would say that most people in that position, owning a restaurant or something within the community that are getting some type of attention that's not negative attention would be grateful for that as well. Because even if you're not at that point, the most well-known guy on the planet in Augusta, you're still promoting or putting something out there that gives their business a little bit more attention.
You're providing value.
Right. So you're providing some value to these restaurant owners. You're making these, I'm going to assume, because I thought they were, funny videos about the restaurant and sharing your opinions about the food. This is like 2019. You, I think, have grown in the quality of your productions.
Just a little bit. Had to call it outsourcing.
Okay.
Outsourcing at this point, right.
And 2, you've grown in your following and your influence and your reach. So tell me a little bit about that and how that has, in turn, created more business opportunities for you. Because in the beginning, it was probably just like, let's just see if this works.
Exactly.
And it seems like it's been working.
It has worked. There's people who will stop me and they're like, "Oh, you're the guy that does the burger reviews." And I said, "Yeah, and that's cool. It's cool." And so that works. But I will say that, and the reason I've outsourced them is because at the end of the day, that's real. I mean, it has created awareness and it has, people, I'm sure, top of mind, but you can't track it. Like I couldn't tell you, no one's come into my Instagram DMs and said something like, "Hey, yeah, I saw your burger video. Let me sell can you sell my home?"
Right.
So that it has a very good place and purpose, but it's not what's brought the business in.
Okay.
And I want to make that very clear. Is we have there's other things I'm doing.
Sure.
I think it's very important to get across is picking up the phone and just providing value, meeting with people face to face is where my business has come from.
Right.
Setting appointments.
Sure. Of course, you have to do the work. You can't just make a burger video and expect people to just line up outside your office waiting to meet you. Although there's probably at some point going to be some people who do that. But you do this, you get this exposure, you kind of create this personality that does this here in Augusta, and people get to know you for it. And maybe you don't get direct business because you reviewed a burger, but you might have gotten indirect business without realizing it from people who had seen it, known who you were, looked you up, started following you, felt familiar with you. It was a way that you could make some type of in my opinion, like personal connection or create more familiarity with people when you can't physically be in front of all of them.
Correct.
So that continues to go. COVID happens. You leave the restaurant. You had the 5 contracts on your desk. What next? Like, what do you do? I mean, how do you keep the momentum going? How do you continue to grow like you've grown? Because like I said at the beginning of this, like when we talked about it, I was asking you numbers and I was like, okay, what was your production the first year? We don't have to share all this, but what was your production the first year? And you told me, I said, okay, what was your production the second year? What was this? How many units did you sell this? How many units did you sell the second year? This. Matt, you do realize that you have more than doubled your business every single year.
Whoops.
And Matt was like, wow, that's pretty good. But the point being is that you're doing something right. And you're obviously, I would say for any real estate agent, it's a compounding effect. Like it's layers, right? Mm-hmm. So like something that I know you do that not a lot of people do is you do handwritten notes.
Yes.
Okay. So what are other things that you do? Like you just mentioned, you do you call people. What are the things that you do? What are your business practices that you use that you feel have made you successful or have been impactful in your business that have advanced you in your career?
I will encourage everybody to at least try everything once.
Okay.
I have done it all, except for buy leads. I don't buy leads.
Sure.
Just that's the devil in the room for me. But I have done it all. I have made phone calls on RedX, faked the whole, hey, I have a buyer looking in your neighborhood. Have you any thoughts of buying or selling? Yeah, I've done the cold calling. I've door knocked. I've done open houses. Handwritten notes is a huge thing. I'll tell you what has, and I'm very fortunate. I've been able to do all these things, make a bunch of mistakes, and I've really figured out what I'm good at. So now what's working for me, what has been working for the last year, is simply just, once again, I've dove into all these programs. I've said yes to just about everything. My wife will tell you she's my no. It's not in my DNA. She's my no. So, and I was thinking about bringing my resume, but that just sounds pretentious and pompous as heck. But I wanted to put my resume in front of you. I have done all the things. We're running the St. Patrick's Day parade. We're getting involved in numerous clubs and organizations, boards, committees. And so what that's done is that's given me a ridiculously long amount of people who I can call.
Right.
And so now all I do is just sit on the phone and just call people all day. The people I know. No one's a cold call. It's just people who know me, and I just have conversations. I stay in touch. I'll tell you, I don't have kids, so I don't have kids. God help everybody when that happens. So I feel like I have a little more time on my hands than some people, and I recognize that. But my time's limited on that. So I've really focused on trying to figure out how to make as many connections as possible. The handwritten note thing is, I'll tell you, one of the not so great things about this kind of business model, if you will, is I couldn't say I do have a good core group of friends. I have a lot of good friends here in Atlanta who I've been talking smack to all morning, actually. But back home, I just know so many people. So I guess I'm pulled in a ton of directions. Mm-hmm. So the handwritten notes is a huge thing for me because a lot of times, oh, hey, I haven't seen you in a long time. I understand that. It's part of my business model. That not that I don't want to see you. I just got so many people to see and to react with. The handwritten
and you're engaged
notes,
in so many different.
Correct. So if I can sit there and take 5 minutes out of my day to write something to you, find something on Instagram or Facebook that you've done, and babies is a huge thing right now, engagements, things like that. If I can take a little bit of time to handwrite you a note and send it to you, a lot of good, I think a lot of good feedback comes from that, and it makes me feel good. It helps me stay in touch. But that's my business model for about the last year and a half is just I've done all these things, so now I just know a ton of people, so I can just call a bunch of people.
Personal connections, and just
personal connections
doesn't mean that they're your best friend, but people that you've created this network with that's quite vast, and then you're almost re-emphasizing your, I don't want to say commitment to them, but your awareness of them by writing these letters.
Correct. Yep.
And you just keep a stack with you. I'm not kidding. I've seen you do this. You keep a stack with you, and you start to get bored, and you pull them out. Yes. I've watched you. I won't say which speaker you did that with at JR Leadership. No, I'm just kidding. You didn't do that. But I think that handwritten notes is like a lost art. I do write notes too, and people are like shook when they get a letter in the mail.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I'm like, it was not hard.
Yep.
So over these years, you still have utilized video, not just in the ways of reviewing restaurants, because I've seen you do some pretty funny things on the video. I would say that your sense of humor and your willingness to just put yourself out there is another part. Again, you're humble. You're not going to say this. Is another part of your business strategy, because people feel like they can connect with you. They smile when they see it. They share it with friends. Tell me a little bit more about some of the other ways that you're using video to either promote listings, to promote what you're doing out in the field that are not just food related.
I don't want to talk about Randy Realtor. He's such a jerk. So we've gotten a little creative. The food reviews, and we're working on ways to bring them back. I've made a good little hire. She's very excited. She's got her real estate license. That'd be Grace.
Oh, good for her.
Bravo. Passed it for the first try. So love to see that. So maybe we drag her around and start doing maybe bring back the organic looking reviews. With restaurants and any business owner, it's a hectic lifestyle. And so dependability isn't, it's for me to reschedule one person, it's easy. Having to reschedule 4 people is a nightmare.
Yeah.
So we're gonna work on that. If anyone wants to wonder why I haven't done a food review in about a few months, that's why.
Okay.
But we've really gone into like some short form, long form, educational things. I feel comfortable in my skin these days. I know really I feel more comfortable at what I'm doing. So we're doing all sorts of tips and tricks, and the production quality is higher. We're doing for listings. Actually, how about this marketing for our sellers? We have some fun with some skits. So Randy Realtor is we're actually not the same person, by the way. It's 2 completely different people. But he's this agent that came into our brokerage, and he used to have a wrestling career, hurt his back, right? And
I cannot.
Yeah, now he's selling real estate. I would say he's my direct competitor. I think everyone likes him more than me, but my brokerage actually insists that he comes in on the videos and coaches me of all. I mean, it's absolutely awful. The guy's terrible. But we're working together, I think, for a mutual benefit of our clients. You know what I'm saying?
I really hope people go to your page and look at this. I really hope they check this out. What's your Instagram handle, real quick?
At Matt Kelly, your local realtor.
Okay, y'all go check out Randy the Realtor, because this guy right here, I cannot.
I don't. He might come to this door in any second. You don't know.
No, he's not coming into this podcast studio. So you've been utilizing your video team in a more professional way these days.
Correct.
Even if it's silly, like Randy is kind of silly. I'm just going to throw.
Oh no, he's not silly at all. He's complete jackrabbit.
Okay, so
I want to make that clear. He's terrible.
Got it. All right.
Don't use him.
I can't. So you're utilizing your video team now because you're feeling more confident. You've been doing this for 4-ish years, and you've been able to build a business that is quite profitable and is kind of sustaining itself and growing and growing and growing and growing. And now it's time to shift the focus of that, those dollars and time and energy into something that's a little bit more productive for the actual real estate side of things.
Yes, we just got our first flip.
Wow.
Yeah, out of nowhere. I didn't think I'd buy a house. We bought a house, and then we bought a second house very quickly after the first one, using some private money lending and all that fun stuff. So,
see, that could be a whole nother episode.
Oh, yeah.
We got to rein it in here. All right. So you're utilizing.
It's crazy.
Like I said, Energizer Bunny, 1,000,000 miles a minute. This guy does everything, literally everything. There's nothing you couldn't talk to Matt about.
I'm remarkably undisciplined and bad at my job. So, in case you think I'm there, I just want to let people know I'm super inefficient.
False. This guy is all over the place. So, and in a good way. So you're utilizing this. Now, you were talking earlier about metrics and measuring and like how you don't, I think I would agree with you, and I don't use video like you do, but I would agree with you that people aren't just going to come into your DMs and be like, hey, I saw your burger video. I want to buy a house. Hey, I saw your Randy video. Mm-hmm. I know he's a different person. I saw your Randy video, and I want to work with you, not Randy. They're not going to do that. How are you measuring the success of your videos to know that obviously they're worth your time and energy and resources? Because it's not cheap to bring. Once you start incorporating production team and doing this for real. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've called you before for something else, and you've been like, "Hey, I can't pick up. I'm recording a video. I'll call you back later today." I mean, it's a big commitment, time wise, financially, creativity wise, like preparing and planning, like. How do you know this is working? How do you know you want to continue doing this? Where are you going to look at metrics? Where are you putting this content on YouTube, on Instagram? Tell me just a little bit more about that.
This is the moment where Kate jumps across this table and strangles me. I have no freaking clue.
Matt Kelly.
I have no clue. I have my media team. I was fortunate enough. My broker is really behind me, and they see the value in it. So. They have brought this on for the brokerage.
Okay.
And I won't say names, but we may be the only brokerage in Augusta who has a full-time media team available for their agents.
That's awesome.
And I was a part of that. And there's a lot of benefits to it. that team is also my social media management. So they do. I've actually in the last few months they have to come to me and sit me down and tell me how my videos are doing, and I take those, and now I kind of know which ones are performing, which ones aren't.
Right.
So I guess now I have a better idea. But you have to. I need moms, right? I need moms,
he does need moms.
And I have a bunch of different moms in real estate, and so that they're one of my moms. Is they sit me down and go, Matt, this is what's working, this is not what's working.
Sure.
And that I'm able to make a decision from there.
Okay, so that makes a little bit more sense, because it sounds like you're not just hiring your team to do this for you. You have this resources through your brokerage. You've had experience doing this. You're willing to get out there in front of the camera. You probably find a little bit of joy in it, or you wouldn't be doing it. And I do think it works, because there's a lot of people who are commenting and engaging and sharing these videos. And they're coming back to you and saying, here's the content that's performing, here's the content that's not. And then you're able to continue kind of the trajectory of what kind of stuff you want to put out from there. Because it's not their job to come up with the ideas of the videos, or it is?
It's not. It's not. I will just text them at 11 o'clock at night. Grant, hey, we're going to do something about absorption rates, man. Come on. 10:30 tomorrow morning. Let's do it.
Okay. All right.
Get over to the office.
So it sounds to me like the advantage here is that your broker has come behind you in this effort and sees the value and has endorsed it and is willing to offer it to the brokerage.
Yes. And,
is anyone else in the brokerage utilizing this tool?
Oh, we're pushing it heavy. We have a lot of agents who are seeing a lot of benefits from it. It's been really cool, I think, and just from this program alone, our brokerage got like 2.1 million impressions in November.
Wow.
On YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. Right. One of their little highlight things they were showing at our business meeting. So it's really taken off. See, they're the smart ones. They actually measure and track all this, and they just tell me I'm doing a good job, and I go, perfect. That's what I need to do.
You're the little pawn.
It works for me.
Yeah.
But no, it's been cool. I'll tell you, the video stuff, the engagement, it has really put me into some positions to do some really cool things. So we got to raise $46,000 for victims of domestic violence last year. That was that whole thing where I wasn't dressed like Shania Twain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
I did
Fake
see
It to
that.
Make It was really fun. We're getting back involved this year with that as in the opening act. We got to build a playground and do all that stuff a couple years ago. So it has allowed me to go and reinvest a lot of that money that apparently I make, I guess. My accountant doesn't agree with me. Neither does my wife. But, I've been able to take that money and really do some awesome things around the area.
So utilizing your video skills to raise money for things and give back.
Correct.
That's cool. And I know people see that too, whether you mean them to or not. And I think that means a lot to potential clients and people in the community as well. So I see from you that you have just completely immerse yourself in the community, not just through video, but through your volunteer efforts, through your commitments to the different organizations, and that you've really put yourself into the hands of people at home on their phones through the video. And so in the Augusta market and area, a lot of people are getting familiar with you, whether they know you personally or not.
Right.
And I think it works. I mean, obviously you don't have specific metrics to tell me or show me. I get it. That's a lot. But I think it works.
I don't know my volume this year.
My gosh, Matt.
I think we did over 50 units. I'm not really sure. I'll figure out. I'll know in a few months.
I know we were chatting the other day. We spent a lot of time together this year, and our incoming host Neil. Neil was also in our Georgia Association of Realtors leadership class. So I know that like the three of us especially had spent a lot of time together through our leadership program. And I was asking you what was the average price point in Augusta, and then I was saying, okay, so your average price point and your volume would be the equivalent to being like a really seriously high top producer here in Atlanta if you took your average price point and made it our average price point. So, you're again so humble, and you're not even tracking some of this stuff, but you're out here and you're doing the work.
Yeah.
And you're out here and you're growing. I mean, consistently.
I'm down in the ditches. I'll tell you, I work my tail off, and you have to work your tail off in this industry. But I try every day to maybe work a little smarter. I work harder, not smarter, unfortunately. And I'm getting away with it, which is really cool. That there's a day coming where I have to figure this out a little bit better. But Yeah, I'm way below like the average Augusta price point in terms of like my average sale. One thing and you see these people that tout these big numbers and all this. I would consider myself very fortunate, but I don't have like any of those crazy like whale stories, right? Like this guy, I called him and he's sent me like, he owned like $10 million in real estate and he's basically supported me throughout, those crazy fountain stories.
I don't have one either.
I know. We need to find one.
Yeah, how do we get
It'd
that?
Make our lives much easier.
We need to find a podcast guest who can teach me how to do that.
Right. Just luck into it.
Yeah.
So we're in the ditches.
Yeah, I mean, you're grinding. I mean, that's the reality. And
I dug
think
ditches.
I
know.
think I think that's a really important point that you're making. I'm glad you brought that up, is that none of this is easy.
No.
And the amount of effort and energy and time and blood, sweat, and tears that you've put into this is really part of the reason that you've yielded the result that you've yielded. Mm-hmm. I know you have your wife's support. She's amazing. I've met her.
Oh gosh, I couldn't have. This is I mean, she's the one that kicked my butt in gear first of all.
That's what wives do.
Yeah, kicked my butt in gear, and we have our battles, but she's really been surprised. I would love her to get her real estate license.
She does not want to get her real estate
I know
license.
it'd be terrible for her,
Let
but
Ange
we'd be
live.
such a good team. Oh gosh, we'd be unstoppable.
The poor girl, let her live. She's already kind enough to you. All right, so you've got Angie in your corner, and she's the bomb, and you've got her support. You've got your broker support.
We have a ton of people in the corner, which is great.
You've got a lot of people in your corner, so I think that
Well,
also and I think a lot of people have those people. They just might not know it or acknowledge it. So I think acknowledging that you've got people on your team, your brokers, your for us here at Atlanta Realtors, our friends that we make here on committees and our programs and things that we do here, there are resources and people out there that are available to stand behind you and support you. And if you don't feel that support at this point in your career, you definitely need to be evaluating some things. But the other thing that you need to consider is that it does take actual hard work. And I think that most of the people listening to this are aware of that, unless they're just brand new. And if they're just brand new, brace yourself. But it takes hard work. It's a lot of hours, and there's a lot of different facets that go into success. It's not just one thing. And so, we could talk about a lot of different stuff. You do a lot of things.
30 minutes. What? Give us another 30. Can I buy some more time?
Yeah, I mean, we could
This
start
is therapy.
We could start getting into that whole. You mentioned it, buying a house then buying another house. We could start getting into that, but that's a whole nother topic. But the reason I wanted to have you in here, and the reason that I want people to hear from you and go follow you on Instagram and find you online, is because you're such a dynamic person. You're super positive, energetic, and I think that a lot of people could benefit from hearing your story of just how you've plugged in and engaged, and how you just jumped when the pandemic happened, and you had really got an opportunity to give this your all. That you realize, I can do this, and you submerge yourself in it. You gave yourself goals. You say you're not measured, but you were. I mean, just that I need 5 contracts before I can quit. That's a measured,
Maybe we should get back to that.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to laugh at you. You're my friend, so I have to laugh at you. But you say you're not measured. You say you're not measured, and you're disorganized, but you're really not. You're just doing so much that it probably feels that way. But I think that you are very calculated. I think that you are very intentional. I think that you are very hardworking, and I think that you've utilized a lot of different, vessels and ways to help your business grow. And I think that anyone listening to this that is willing to really just jump in and fully submerge themselves in their business and give it their all, it doesn't mean they have to do video. They can do a vast amount of things, but they're going to start to see some of these results like you've seen. And you don't have to brag. I'll brag for you. It's working. It's not going to...
I'm over here tearing up.
It's not going to stop. Don't tear up. God, why do I make people cry on my podcast episodes? Y'all, I'm like the least emotional person on the planet. Don't do this. So all that to say, I think you've got a lot going for you. You have a huge career ahead of you. The biggest takeaways that I get from you is just the value of relationships and connecting with people and giving something back. So not just to the community like you have done, like raising money and giving of yourself and time, but giving content and information and sharing you in your entirety on video in the community everywhere you go. And I think that's really cool. So I hope that somebody will listen to this and be inspired and say, okay, yeah, it is hard. I'm willing to do the hard. And when they are willing to do the hard, I do think that you see results.
if I'm assuming it sounds like we're closing it out, I want to leave anyone new with one thing that got me through a lot of this.
Okay.
There's a lot in this, especially with video, is how do I look? How do I sound? It doesn't matter. Be shameless. Keep your integrity. Don't lie. Don't embellish. Don't cheat. Don't steal.
Right.
But be shameless. You getting into real estate, you are entering a dog-eat-dog business, and we tout cooperation and collaboration. You should absolutely follow those principles. That is what is sustainable over the long term. You want to be the realtor that everybody wants to work with. But you also need to understand that it doesn't matter what other people think of what you do as long as you're doing it correctly, because it is sink or swim. Be shameless. You got to do what you got to do to put food on the table.
Yeah, you got to put yourself out there.
You got to keep a roof over your head. You have to keep the lights on, because if you're a good realtor, you need to be servicing people, and you need to do what you have to do to service as many people as possible.
Right.
That's it.
That's a great ending.
Be shameless.
I'm just going to let us go out on that, and if put yourself out there so you don't have to sell your PS4.
Never. I need to buy a new PS5.
Okay. Was it a PS4?
It was a PS4.
Okay. All right. I mean, solid message, and I appreciate everything that you brought to share with us today, and I hope everyone gets an opportunity to connect with you, maybe at one of our state conferences, because you're going to be
February.
there.
I'll be there in
Yep.
February.
Yep.
I'm a state director this year. I got to be.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you driving here at 6 a.m. to sit down with us, and driving back this afternoon so you can show houses back in Augusta.
Rental houses today. Yay.
Yeah. And I look forward to seeing all the things that you continue to accomplish and do, and really appreciate your whole aura, all of who you are.
Thank you, Kate.
All right, take care.
Thank you for tuning in to the Atlanta Realtors Rundown. Please subscribe, and for more information on how to get engaged, check us out at atlantarealtors.com. We look forward to having you join us for the next episode.